This episode of the Buffalonian podcast is brought to you by the Buffalonian division of the CastSource Podcast Network, a podcast network built by Buffalonians for Buffalonians, featuring the shows such as the Goatheads podcast and the Buffalonian podcast. We cover Bills, Sabres, and more, with more shows on the way very soon. And the CastSource Podcast Network covers many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment, featuring the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Bills, Sabres, hot takes, trivia, and more of the Buffalonian podcast. All right, let's go.
We are back with the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. We are here with the 2023 NFL Draft Special. It's very exciting. It's finally here after months and months of waiting. We're really looking forward to getting started with this. We're going to be your guide through it, if you will. We're not going to take any flack away here from the ABC Sunday game day or whatever, college game day crew or anything along those lines. But as the picks come in, we'll pop on, give our thoughts. But basically, we're here for the Bills' first pick. If you gentlemen want to chime in on anything? What are we feeling going into this right now? I mean, let's refresh who's the first pick, whether or not it's a trade back. Who's the first person picked by the Buffalo Bills?
Well, it all depends on how the board falls. It's kind of hard to predict who will be there.
Well, who did we say the other day?
But if the board falls a certain way and they lean receiver, Zay Flowers from Boston College is a good pick. Josh Downs, the slot receiver from the University of North Carolina, but he's more of a second-round player. So at that point, they might trade back, depending on how the board falls. But it's a wait-and-see process at pick 27. So it's exciting.
Mike?
No, I still say offensive line. I said DeJuan Jones the other day. Maybe if for some reason like a Paris Johnson were to fall, Darnell Wright, I really think they're just going to target that offensive line to kind of restructure that, because we saw how it was kind of a weak point last season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm on an O-line with you, Cyrus Torrance. I would love to see, but as Dom said, it's a waiting game to see how the board actually falls and what happens. So, I mean, I know. Tom, to plug Dom's brother Jeremy. I mean, we're hoping if D-Hop comes on, we've got something special planned. So we're hoping for DeAndre Hopkins. I get like that's the big news that could happen. That could come out of a trade back. That would be something really exciting. So we're hoping that happens. But for right now, we're going to step aside, I think, unless anyone else wants to add anything for now.
No, he's dropping his phone.
And Dom's face-down phone cracked on the ground. But we're going to step aside for a little bit. And as the draft begins, we'll pop on, give our thoughts of what's going on at the time, and we'll be right there more frequently starting towards the Bills pick. So feel free to comment on wherever you're watching too. If you have any questions or, what happened, you missed it, we'll be able to tell you and whatnot. So 27th pick, Buffalo Bills. We'll be right here for it. Maybe picking later. The off chance they pick earlier. I don't know. It could go anywhere. It's draft day. It's exciting. The first round's about to begin, but we bid you adieu for now, and we will be back shortly with you here on the Buffalonian Podcast 2023 NFL Draft Day Special.
Bills are on the clock.
The Bills traded. Bills are on the clock.
The Bills at 25. We're behind with the Bills on the clock. You traded up?
Yeah, we traded up to pick 25. I knew I saw him on the Jumbotron there. Bills are on the clock.
Here we go. What are they trading up for? I don't understand.
I don't know either. Again,
Who do you think they're trading up for?
Oh, that's weird. I don't know.
going to be edge. Nick Gary.
Nick Urias' edge. I mean, Nolan Smith.
Could be. Could be. I don't think I'd be mad at that. This is crazy. I was not.
Are we sure they traded up?
Oh, the Bills.
No,
Everyone's
it is trade alert.
Yeah, trade alert. Who is Bean going after?
Jacksonville trade back
To the Bills.
I mean, we traded 27 to 24 last year. Is 27 to 25 this year? Is it the same price as the fourth? I don't know. I mean, it's got to be Nolan Smith, right?
Okay, this is it. It's the moment
That'd
we've
be-
all been waiting
that'd be
for
kinda
right here.
cool if
4
they had
minutes,
Nolan
11
Smith.
seconds
Who?
on the clock for the
Nolan Smith,
Bills.
that'd be cool.
I'd be okay with that. Kind of a slow, like a blitzing linebacker. I don't know, but who would? I just don't.
You'd have to like be catching the con spot.
Well, they dropped. This is important that they purposely had to have thought Dallas was going to take him. You know what I mean? Like they jumped Dallas for a reason,
Yeah.
and they wanted to solidify this pick, so they wanted no one behind them to jump. But I don't know who is it. The tight ends? Like, are we thinking that they want one? Like they think they want? But I don't know. I mean, I don't want them to pick anyone until they can show that they can use Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
I hope they don't take.
Of course, they go to commercial.
We're gonna stick.
year.
We're gonna stick.
Every year.
We're gonna stick around for this commercial break
Every
and
year.
just chit chat for a minute.
Every
3
year-
minutes.
Every year they go to commercial before the Bills.
Believe me, I know. 3 minutes, 18 seconds now on the clock. for
I
the
would
Bills.
highly suggest not looking at your phones.
Do not.
Because I'm pretty sure my phone just blew up.
Do
So-
not look at your phones. Do not. Do not. We got comments coming in.
I'm actually a little nervous. I don't really know what to say here.
Be careful, maybe someone spoils it.
Yeah.
That would really suck.
Yeah, we just got trade comment. That's everything. Okay. Just trade. Just trade. Nothing else.
So it's got to be 27. Yeah, 27.
Yeah.
They flipped it. So, I mean, you got to think. I can't remember the picks off the top of my head what the Bills have, but you got to think that's fourth. Actually, I think the Bills had a decently high fifth. I'm not mistaken.
I'm just covering the.
Yeah. Cover.
So maybe they traded.
Covered. I saw a Bleacher Report before.
Turn it off. Just turn it. Watch something
Put
forward.
the phone face down.
We're 2:30.
Phone face down.
Maybe this is Bills 27, their fifth round pick. That's like 168.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
This is interesting. This could get.
I think this would have made. I just think this would have made so much more sense if we like Addison, Jigba, or Flowers on the
The
board.
pick is in. Oh, here he goes.
I just don't know who they're picking.
I don't either.
I mean, last year is obvious. Listening that they were going to check the corner.
Yeah.
I
This
mean-
year it's not.
But you gotta say, when Bean was talking to Buffet earlier that he would trade down, you gotta think they had low first round grades. This has got to be a player that they have. Like they must have only have one or two more first round grades left. This has got to be the player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But then who is that first round grade is the big question. Like that's why I think it might be tight end.
I'd be mad if they drafted tight. Why would you keep? We don't even use our number one tight end.
I
That's-
completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It's either
That's
tight
what I
end.
said.
I think it's got to be tight end or Nolan Smith.
You'd have to change the
I think
entire
that-
offense.
I'm going to make my prediction right now with Nolan Smith. Stat boy, who you got? Nolan Smith or tight end? Or interior defensive line. You can pick one of the three. Okay. Joe?
I wouldn't mind another tight end to add to Dawson Knox.
Okay.
I still say Brian Breezy.
Okay, so we got interior defensive line. Edge. And we got two tight end picks.
Why would we take a tight end?
You got tight end in mind? Mayer or Kincaid?
I like Mayer.
The soft hands
Yeah.
and D?
thing, like,
At least they're making a pick. We all thought that there's a potential that they trade out of the first round. That would have really sucked. So
Yeah.
Let's see. Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill.
Original theme song.
Original theme.
Bill.
They got us on the
well,
jar
they're
of
not
buffalo
going to
sauce.
pick. Well, gosh, don't even
There's the draft
Any
room.
spoilers?
don't watch the sheets. Don't look at
Let's
the
see, we
sheets
got,
printed out.
we got Bean.
They're not
McKinnon,
even bro.
Terry.
Really kind of savage.
No.
That's Will Levis. Who cares?
Who is this guy?
Pete Thamel.
Never heard of him before. I think we'll love this. He looks like he's chilling, so maybe put some mayo in that coffee earlier and he's just vibing.
The tape and the pre-draft interviews.
That does suck to just be sitting there the entire night. Like,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
Pick is in. And Goodell should be reaching the stage momentarily.
Even more brutal. Welcome across the stage on day 2.
Yeah.
Gino?
Yeah.
Did him right back. And the pick. Goodell's on stage.
My heart's pounding.
I know.
Why did we take a tight end? I don't like that pick. We don't even use our top tight end who's.
They're looking for the pit. They're looking for the hat. Say it all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. I don't think they expected him to get picked by the Buffalo Bills.
I don't get it.
Comment your thoughts.
I'm a little speechless.
Yeah, me too. I mean, NFL channel loves it, I guess.
Well, I will say this: if we're going to, you want to mute this for 2 seconds? Just like the TV. I guess that's
Yeah. Now that we don't need to really hear what's going on.
I will say this: this has been a guy that's the consensus tight end one on most boards. I think Todd McShay said he's surprised he lasted this long. I think he had him as like the top, maybe the 10th overall prospect. Obviously, people have been commenting that NFL Network loves it. I'm not surprised by that. I think this guy actually is a solid tight end, and I think it's my frustration with the tight end pick is this. I think he's a very good weapon, and I think he could do a lot of things for the Bills. And the Bills did need to improve that second tight end spot opposite Dawson Knox. We've seen time and time again the last 2 seasons, Dawson Knox get banged up a little bit and miss time when you don't have a viable second tight end.
Yeah.
But the frustration is, like, you have to be able to use this guy.
Here's what I think. I think in press conferences we've heard Josh Allen even say we're getting back to something more familiar. I don't think this is a horrible pick because I think they're going to focus more on using their tight ends. And I think now that Tommy Sweeney's out of there, and yes, Quentin Morris and whatnot you had, Dawson Knox and this younger guy, I think this is a good – I'm not mad at this. I think this is an okay pick. I really do.
I think it's a good – okay. The value is there. This is the tight end one. This is a guy that people thought was going to be in the top half of the first round. The value is totally there. And we wanted skill position. I mean, maybe they feel like they're reinventing the slot with a tight end.
Maybe.
This is kind of a guy that's not really – like Mayer is kind of the complete tight end. Like Michael Mayer, the tight end of Notre Dame, he's the kind of guy that, you know, a little bit like Zach Ertz, like he'll catch, play in the slot a little bit, but a good inline blocker. Dalton Kincaid's more of a, I don't want to say Travis Kelce type, but more of a receiving tight end.
No, yeah.
And he can play more in the slot, so maybe they think that. I think they're a big Cleo. I think this shows that they are big Cleo Shakur fans. I think this also shows that they wanted to add to the offensive skill position, and they wanted to add 10. I don't fully understand the commitment to tight end. Now they've drafted a first-round tight end. They've now paid Dawson Knox $50 million.
Yeah, big money. Yeah.
Use
them.
It's all about, and again, maybe this is the thing of like they don't know if Gabe Davis is going to be around next year. Maybe they go more lean double tight end.
Yeah, I think that might be the way they're going. And
he has a big smile on his face.
Yeah, I mean,
listen. He also seems like he's a high character guy. They talked about how he, helped with the foundation regarding kids that have special needs. I think that's awesome. So
he seems like a great locker room presence and would mesh well
I just
with
find
the
it
team.
Comical that his hat was
at the bottom.
At the bottom. I'm like the third row.
Yeah. I mean, it's because why would, like, you know, in the beginning, the rumor was Bill's going for D-Hop trading down. And that, you know what I mean?
Wood says it's the 9th best player on the entire big board.
Yeah. So I think that was a good pick.
I should say.
Truthfully, I don't think that was an issue pick whatsoever. I'm happy with it. It's what I was hoping for. I wanted a tight end going into it, but I think. Well,
I think the thing is this. Final notes on PK. I know we're going to talk a lot about this next week, but this is a guy that's tight end. His name is tight. Like his position is tight end, but he's more of a wide receiver.
Yeah.
This isn't a guy that's going to get an inline block. Like Dawson Knox is more of a legit tight end.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that's going to play really slot receiver. And, we've been chopping at the bit for an improvement in the slot. I think they said to themselves, with Flowers off the board, Addison off the board, Jigba off the board, the best available slot in their mind that could fill that need is a tight end in name, but really would help fill that void. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I think a lot of people are upset that it's a tight end, but I think if you really study his game, he's more of a big slot. And I just don't really understand the trade up. But I guess Dallas, you thought Dallas lose, with Schultz. Maybe they thought Dallas wanted him at 26 and they wanted to solidify that.
Right. No, I like it. I really do. I think it was a good pick. I'm excited to see how he meshes with the team, comes around, and where the Bills pick from here. I mean, we're going to be talking about it all next week. You're absolutely right. So I think we've got a good first rounder. I'm content. I'm happy.
Jeremiah says that this league allows Dalton Kincaid to play with Josh Allen. I'm probably going to get what it deserves. So listen, I think the consensus is
good.
This is a big
commitment to the offense and the tight end position.
This is the weapons. I think the consensus is that this guy has potential to be a stud. I like it. I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fact of I don't love the trade up, but we don't know. I don't fully.
Dallas might have been interested, maybe, or something like that. So I don't know. It could have been anywhere.
They want offense. I think we all want them to go offense. I mean, our statistician over there, Jin, fit the call. Tight end. What a guy. He just knows stuff. This man. Take a bow. There's a reason. Bow. What a guy. So did you, big guy.
Yeah, I love it. I'm truthfully.
Well, you love it. I like it. I just don't. I'm not all the way.
You're not there yet. I gotcha.
I have to see a couple games.
Yeah.
I gotta see how they put them together. I also have to see how the rest of the draft works out. I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're gonna step aside just for a few moments here, and we will be back shortly. And thank you again for watching. And we'll be right back with some more coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft right here on the Buffalonian Podcast. Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Here, if you want to introduce yourselves one more time, just for our show, I'm playing on speaker into the mic. So I'm here with my co-host, Dom, as well. Dom, say hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
I'm all right. Dan's putting his headphones on, so he has no idea what's being said right now. But nice formal introduction. I've seen you guys in action, but never had the chance to talk to you outside of Joe. So it's good. It's like, Joe, when worlds collide, man.
I know.
Yeah.
One of these days, you guys got to get on.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll sort that out. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But the bridge we got to cross right now is the pick. We move up, swap first round picks with the Jaguars, and give up a fourth and take a tight end, Dalton Kincaid. I'll let you guys start out. I'm interested what you have to say. I'm still formulating, trying to figure out how I feel about it. But so why don't you guys kick it off?
Yeah, it's a similar situation last year when they traded up from 27 to 24 and gave up the fourth round pick to Baltimore to pick Elam. Obviously, they had, we heard all the rumors that they don't have a lot of first round grades among players, and Kincaid must have been one of the last ones on the board, and they must have been worried that Dallas at 26 ahead of them were going to take them. And I think it's a pick that I like. I don't love. It's a pick that's going to change the offense. And it's up to Ken Dorsey now to adapt the offense, which I'm hesitant that he'll be able to do. But the Bills needed to, win in the middle of the field more than they did last year and make it easier for Josh Allen inside the numbers. And I think Kincaid's more of a big slot receiver than a tight end. And it seems like the consensus is every national media loves the selection, loves the value.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're thinking of Dalton Kincaid, everybody was thinking that he was going to be gone as soon as he could be. Everybody thought he was going to go to Detroit to fill that hole, but Detroit does some wild card things that nobody ever sees coming. And here we are right now where the Bills get finally a number 2 tight end. We've been talking about this for years that they've had that hole. Remember, they lost Tommy Sweeney this offseason. No matter if you like Sweeney or not, or if he did much for this team, he was still part of that tight end room, and when he came on the field, he tried to do his best that he could. And now to have Knox, and I know people don't like saying, oh, well, you're paying a blocking tight end so much, and now you're you're drafting this guy who is like a Travis Kelce, a good pass catcher, and that could limit receptions for Dawson Knox. And right now, I believe Jacksonville is picking.
Yeah, the pick is currently in right now that they're waiting to announce.
They took Anton Harrison. So, but I think Bean, the Buffalo Bills finally screwed over the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, that's how nice it is to say. And I know, yes, Dallas sometimes get what they want by people screwing them over, but Dallas drafted a defensive tackle I didn't even know anything about. Like, absolutely nothing. Never heard of him. I'm waiting for the Sean McVay clip of, oh, we thought we could take him in the third round. I'm waiting for that to come out. But I mean, Joe, you guys said that you aren't really that happy with the pick. I mean, could you elaborate a little bit more on,
I mean, Dom said he likes it, doesn't love it. I personally love it. Before we were talking,
with you, Joe.
Before we chatted about it, we just kind of were picking, and I called tight end along with our statistician Tyler here in the background. So him and I both called tight end, and I could not be happier with the tight end they picked because, truthfully, I mean, Dom put it very well before we took a quick break over here. He said that, Dawson Knox is that fully complete tight end, where Kincaid is that receiving tight end who could possibly fill the void of a slot, and he's just a big wide receiver. So I do like this, and the fact that, we've struggled in the slot position, and a big guy like this really could make that change. It's all up to Dorsey, like Dom said, though, if it works or not. Like, that's just kind of how it's going to have to be. And I think we're going to see a big change, and I think it could work for our benefit, like, majorly. So.
Well, I mean, it's all about creating mismatches, and I think Dalton Kincaid is the definition of a mismatch. How are you going to put a linebacker on him? Are you going to put a safety on him when he's big? But I just think the real question remains is just it's all on Ken Dorsey's shoulder. Brandon Beane's got him this chip, this piece to use, but we've seen him all last year struggle to utilize his pieces to the maximum potential. I do think that the reason why I don't love the pick is I'm concerned. How are the Bills going to use 12 personnel? They don't really use it double tight ends. I guess this unlocks the potential of Kincaid and Knox, but I'm still a little weary on the Ken Dorsey part of the whole selection.
Yeah, I agree with you guys there. I mean, I like the player, but I'm a little skeptical of how he fits into the puzzle because he's not really much of an inline guy, but luckily you have Dawson Knox for that. Seems like, from what I've been reading briefly here in the time that I've had, he's, a fluid mover. He can run routes. He can, bring something to the table, whether it's in the slot or splitting out wide. So, I mean, he does have that mismatch potential, being, too athletic for linebackers to cover and too big to try and stick a safety on. But my biggest concern is just Ken Dorsey being able to incorporate him into the offense, and just the idea of extending, giving Dawson Knox all this money to not be utilized like the vertical threat tight end that he is, and then to invest a first-round pick in a tight end. I mean, I like the player. I'm hesitant because I'm not sure if Dorsey's going to be able to make it happen. But you know what? As far as the player, the talent, I mean, arguably the best tight end in the draft. I mean, Bean said if he wasn't there, they probably would have traded back. They thought Dallas was going to take him, so they jumped him and took him. But like I said, love the player, but it all comes down to Dorsey. If he can, figure out a way to incorporate him into the offense and use his receiving ability to our advantage.
Yes, and the Bengals have just selected Miles Murphy. Yeah, so
from Clemson.
Yeah. So I thought Rex Ryan was behind that pick, but I don't know.
Chris Brown even tweeted out about Bean trading up, and this is straight from Bean. He called the Giants, and they let him know that they were going to trade up. So as soon as he heard that, he called Jacksonville. They weren't sure, and they waited until they were on the clock, and they got it done. I mean, that's what I love about Brandon Bean. Brandon Bean calls his friends. He's like, "Hey guys, how are you? Haven't talked to you since the combine. You want to trade with me?"
What did they trade? Do you know?
A fourth rounder. That's it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
This year's fourth, number 130.
Yeah, it's similar. I don't remember what the pick was. I think 128 might have been the pick last year that they traded to Baltimore to pick up 3 spots. So
Yeah.
it's similar value to what they did last year. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of Brandon Beane's MO of a guy that's not going to sit back and get his guy, stolen from him with 1 pick, ahead. So you always got to be thinking ahead as a GM. And the run of wide receivers in the early 20s was a little concerning. I'm not gonna lie, but they were still able to get a dynamic weapon. It's just as you guys have been saying, like, the value is great. I mean, this guy's top 10 on a lot of people's boards. Number 1 tight end, has the skills to be a really special piece in this offense. It's just the hesitation for me to give this an A+ is just we're really not going to get an answer of how great this pick is until September, October, when we get a couple of actual real speed NFL game action with Kincaid in the offense.
Yeah.
One thing I'll tell you about Brandon Beane is that, he's always going to take best player available. I remember, early on in his tenure here, a quote that he had. He said, "Drafting for need is a mistake that often sets franchises back for years," and that's something that he would never do as long as he was the Bills GM. He's always going to go with BPA, and I think that was the case here. And as you mentioned, terrific value, terrific player. Has the potential, especially obviously catching passes from Josh Allen, to do some really special things. But it's it comes down to Dorsey to put him in spots where he can be successful. As a big slot, or lined up out wide, or maybe even in the screen game. You see more tight end screens, that type of thing. So, I mean, hats off to Brandon Beane for going BPA, and it's up to Dorsey now. That's what you got to do as the offensive coordinator, put your playmakers in positions to succeed, and whether he can do that or not remains to be seen.
You're still listening to the Blitz on 91.3 FM, joined by the Buffalonian podcast. Are you guys in any way worried about Kincaid's back injury? That's been a huge point. It kept him out of play for a long time last season, and he just got cleared on April 12th by his personal doctor. And Beane said that the Bills doctors checked him out and they cleared him too. I mean, is that a worry in the long run, or at least for right now, as a first-round pick?
I mean, it's obviously a concern, but I think you had to trust that the Bills, as you said, got their doctors to look into, and they're comfortable selecting him and trading up and trading assets to go, select him. I think, yeah, it's always a concern when a player that caliber kind of has a little bit of a red flag in the medicals, but I think the Bills organization has always been really strong with injuries. I mean, we saw it last year how of all those guys going down, they didn't rush any of them really back. They made sure that they took their time to try and get as healthy as they possibly can be, and that's also in season. I think off season, we've seen the Bills invest so much into the facility and the training and the staff, and I think they believe in their culture and what their organization is built on. That the back injury isn't a big enough concern for them not to have selected him at 25th overall.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page with that. I feel like if we verified it as well as the team doctors, I'm okay with it. I mean, people come back from injuries in variable ways, of course, but if our guys say it's okay and his guys do, it's all good with me. I feel like, and we've got time before games are played, so I feel like he's got some time to recover and whatnot, and ample time to be ready to go and figure out what exactly, if there are any more issues, needs to be done to stop them. So, but yeah,
his workload's not going to be as significant this year as it was, say, last year. Like, he caught 70 passes last season in college. He's not catching 70 passes next year. Lucky if he probably gets half that. I think maybe like 35, 40 would be more realistic. So he's not going to have to shoulder as much of a load offensively with all the mouths you have to feed on offense, depending on how involved Nyheim Hines is, in the offense. James Cook is going to catch a couple passes per game. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is going to get the lion's share of the targets. Gabe Davis, Shakir, depending on if he's able to break out. So it's not like he's going to be, constantly getting bruised and battered out there, because he's not going to be targeted all that much. He's going to be relatively low in the pecking order, I would imagine, especially to start out. So that, coupled with the fact that, we have an exceptional medical staff, training staff, facilities, and we've had pretty good injury luck these past couple of years. Really, last year was the first time in a while that we've gotten absolutely decimated by the injury bug. So I'm not too worried about it. I have faith in our medical staff. I don't see why there would be any reason not to.
And what the best thing is, the Buffalo Bills just quote tweeted a tweet from Skip Bayless, everybody's favorite insider.
Yeah, Skip was not happy.
Please let Dalton Kincaid fall to my Dallas Cowboys.
Nope, get wrecked.
No.
Loser.
Now, the other question at hand, is there still a chance the Buffalo Bills trade for DeAndre Hopkins?
I think there's always a chance, right? I mean, I feel like it's tough, but the Saints also just picked Brian Brees as well. Brees, however you say his last name, defensive tackle from Clemson. It's another Clemson guy, Rex Ryan in the ear of someone else. But no, I think. Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry, DeAndre Hopkins. I think there's always a little bit of hope, but at the same time, the longer we go and the more picks we use up, I feel like the less likely in the draft it's traded. Maybe something comes later on, I guess. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. What do you think, Dom? Basically, going into it.
Well, I think, being quoted that if Kincaid was not on the board, they would have traded back. I think the option for the Hopkins trade would have been maybe surrounding them trading back with Arizona with that 34th overall selection that Arizona had. But once Arizona traded up from 12 to 6 to Detroit and traded that pick, it just seemed to me that it was pretty unlikely that a Hopkins trade would happen. If it didn't happen before the draft, it was going to happen in the first round after the 34th pick got traded to Detroit. So, I mean, could it still happen? Sure. Would I be shocked? Absolutely. Because I just think at that point, you just have so many mouths to feed. There's just not enough. There's just not enough to go around. I'd rather just see the Bills keep their draft capital. They only have 4 more picks left after trading the 4th round pick. So I'd like to just see the Bills add, to the spots in the draft that they think to have a current weakness.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think at this point, Gabe Davis has shown enough where you can have faith with him going into the season as the wide receiver too. Sure, there's been some inconsistency, but I think part of that could be attributed to injury. He was playing on a bum ankle for a little bit last year, so I think you have enough faith with Gabe Davis, and now you bring in this guy, Kincaid, who can be kind of a weapon X as far as where you line him up. So I'd like to see him just hold on to the picks and, address some other needs. I still think we need to look at offensive line.
Linebacker.
Yep, we need to look at linebacker and then maybe just some depth pieces here and there, but maybe along the defensive line, late, perhaps cornerback, I don't know, but I'd like to see him hold on to the picks. I mean, if the market for DeAndre Hopkins completely dries up, I mean, I know this sounds asinine to say, but who's to say he doesn't just get cut outright? I mean, that could happen. He carries, a high cap number. He's getting up there in age. So if the market dries up, you might just be able to get him for free on the free agency market, depending on how that all shakes out. But I think we have a bevy of pass catchers, just apart from wide receiver, obviously with our running backs and now our tight ends, that we need to allocate those resources elsewhere. As much of a luxury as DeAndre Hopkins would be, I think at this point it's not a necessity.
Now, I did want to get your guys' thoughts on the one, I think, really wild card pick from this draft so far, if there weren't enough wild card picks already. Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Detroit Lions. I want to get your thoughts because, me and Tanner gave our thoughts and we were left astonished. We had no words to say. What were your guys' thoughts when that pick went over the air?
Oh, you could say the same for us. I mean, we had our hands on our head. Dom got up and walked away from the table for a minute. It was just kind of utter disbelief. Like we were talking about how we wanted to be Lions fans and we want to see them draft well, and they did not. Like we thought with the move they made right away that they were going to do something exciting, something good. Nope, they whiffed on 2 picks, and it was just we didn't know really what to say. Kind of speechless, I feel like, at that point. But yeah, not what I was expecting. And Dan, you're absolutely right. Wild cards, that's one of the many that have happened tonight. So, I mean, I use the word, exasperating or something like that? Like, I don't know. It's something wild, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was smoke that he might be the pick at 27 with the Bills, so I was pretty relieved that he wouldn't at least be on the board for them to select. But
yeah,
I think we were both kind of shocked. I mean, they traded back from 6 to 12. We thought they were just thinking of drafting the corner Gonzalez out of Oregon, and I mean, they just make two of the most reach picks you could possibly have. Gibbs really an end of first round talent, and Jack Campbell really mid second round, and they got them both at 12 and 18. I just frankly was very bummed if I was a Lions fan, but luckily we were not.
Yes.
You guys, I think that's going to do it for questions on our side. I think we'll let you guys go while we wrap up here.
Oh, yeah.
The draft. I don't know what you guys are doing.
No, we're going to wrap up as well. We're going to finish out the last couple picks and then call it a night after 3 hours and 40 minutes or whatever of a straight NFL draft. So
Now, why don't you guys shout out your socials, tell the people where they can find you on the internet?
you can find me on Instagram at Joe Cali, on Twitter at the Buffalonian, and of course on yours truly right here on the Buffalonian podcast. Dom, do you have a Twitter? At Dominic Loss on Twitter, and again, right on the Buffalonian podcast. So,
Will we see tomorrow in studio, Joe?
that is up for questioning, just based on family scheduling, but most likely yes. So we can chit chat quite a bit tomorrow about all of this good stuff. So, but yeah, thanks for having us on, guys. We appreciate it. It's been quite a draft so far, and looking forward to talking about it over the next week.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, guys.
See you guys.
Have a good rest of your draft. Hope you guys.
Happy draft day. Alrighty, that right there was the Blitz crew on 91.3 FM WBNY. All right, well, we're going to step aside here for a couple minutes, and we'll be right back with the finale of the 2023 NFL first round of the draft on the Buffalonian podcast. Round 2 tomorrow. Without further ado, that's going to end it for this special edition of the Buffalonian podcast, our NFL 2023 first round draft special. I'm Joe Cali, and I was joined by Dom Loss, Mike Marino, and our statistician, Ginge, back there. Dom, Mike, and Ginge. I don't know if you can. We always do a Go Bills at the end. So if you want to hop in with the Go Bills while I get our outro ready to go.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.
Go Sabres.
Go Bills.